So I'm coming from another site, had to go deal with another client and talk to one of my guys. Turns out another contractor came in, he had work to do, and started talking to one of my guys as if he was working for him. I wasn't there. I don't know the whole story. All I know is I got a phone call and somebody was very irate and peeled him off the ceiling. Everything's good now. We're happy and moving forward. But it got interesting. And then I told him, and I said, listen, when I'm not there, although you got to do what you got to do, you're representing me. So if there's an issue that you feel that is appropriate for you to speak to, you speak to it. If there's something that I need to speak to, then you hand it over to me and let me deal with it. And he's been around the block a few times, so he knows what's what and how to make those decisions. So it's pretty good. But I got to thinking about this whole idea that we've been talking about this week about holiness in 1 Peter chapter 1 verses, I think it's 13 to 15, that we kind of been walking through. And, starting off by how we need to look at ourselves and look at God with sober judgment. Like, not out of insecurities, not out of pride, but this is who God is. This is who God has made me. We talked about God, being the boss, us being obedient. Talked about a few other things. And as going through that, it ends with, and I encourage you to read the passage, but it ends with, be holy as I'm holy, which is a reference to Leviticus. God's, that's a theme. God has always said, be holy as I'm holy, which is right. God knows who he is. Holiness, part of holiness is recognizing who we are, but it's that whole idea of everything that we've talked about and not being corrupted by the world, but having that recognition, that overwhelming, overarching philosophy that I am called to be who I am called to be. Now, what happens? We, like my employee, get confronted by somebody that comes and, they start talking and they think they know. But being able to recognize that this is who God has made me. This is who God is. We don't have to get upset about things. We don't have to get worried about things. We don't have to be anxious for things. But in everything we can give thanks. Because knowing that this is the will of God, who God is in Christ Jesus, how God brought us into relationship with him in Christ Jesus concerning you, who you are. See, we don't have to worry. We don't have to upset. We don't have to get anxious. But we can just walk through life recognizing that this is what God has brought me to. This is something that he has for me. I can respond out of my calling, out of my holiness, who I am, recognizing who God is and who Jesus Christ is. Talking about yesterday where there's some people that I want Jesus to look like this. It's like, nope, Jesus is who Jesus is, and you either accept it or you don't. But one of the things that we really need to realize as we go through this whole aspect of holiness and what it means to be who God has called us to be is recognizing that God has called us to be who we are because he wants us to have a good life. He wants us to enjoy his creation. He wants us to enjoy our experience. He wants us to enjoy everything that we go through, not because it's easy, not because it doesn't hurt, but because it causes us to grow. I'm going through some stuff right now that is causing me to grow. It's not easy, and every time I think I'm going to make a step and do something, God shows me something else and says, okay, now what are you going to do with this? It'd be very easy for me to keep on storming through and say, you know what, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to do this. But one of the things that I'm learning as holiness is becoming something that I'm really striving more and more to understand and appropriate into my life, is that I can't be in a rush. Need to wait on God. Keep moving forward. And if God closes a door, don't try to push it open, because this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning me. I hope you are, as you walk in your journey, you're learning to see that for your life. And your anxiety level can go down, and your praise and worship can just become more and more vibrant and full. Okay, God bless you. I got to get back to work. Talk to you later.